Now we're going to take a look at the Shang Dynasty, but in terms of writing. So this screencast is going to focus mostly on writing and what are called oracle bones. And this is the earliest form of Chinese writing. Okay, so we're going to continue our exploring of early civilizations with the writing and the Shang Dynasty. Okay, so what is an oracle bone, you're asking? Well, it's an animal bone and tortoiseshells on which priests would scratch questions for the gods. So basically, they'd have the king would have questions that you want to ask the gods. They would scratch these questions on them, and then they would actually apply heat to them. Sometimes they would actually heat the bone, or they would apply sort of hot poker sticks to it, and then cracks would form from the heat, and then the priest would interpret the cracks. So in order to understand an oracle bone, you have to understand their religious belief, the connection with the gods, the idea that you could ask the gods questions, and of course there'd have to be these priest specialists who were like geniuses at being able to read cracks in bones. But essentially that's what they did. And if you look at this picture on the right hand side, you can see there's a whole set of Chinese characters that are on there that are very, very early from the Shang Dynasty. They're not quite Chinese characters yet, but these are the earliest forms of Chinese writing that we know of. Okay, so how else can we understand how Chinese characters work? First of all, Chinese is a pictographic language, okay? It's actually a pictographic and an ideographic. When an ideograph means there's different pieces that make up more than one part. In this case, what you can see is the word turtle. This is pronounced gui. And if you notice on the left-hand side, there's the traditional turtle. So in not ancient China, but mostly in historic China, if you were going to write the word turtle, you would actually use the character that's on the left here. If you look closely, you can notice it almost looks like a turtle. If you look here, this is where its shell is located. These are its feet. This is its head right up here, and this is its tail on the back. So that's the traditional way in which a person would write turtle. On the right-hand side is what we call the simplified version of turtle. And you can see it's much, much easier. Here's the shell. Here's the tail coming off of it. It's a simplified version. Now, the simplified characters were introduced in China in the 1950s after the communists took control. The idea was that they wanted people to be able to read and write, and if you simplified the characters, then peasants would be able to learn how to read and write, and that would be good for China. Whereas the traditional characters are a lot more difficult to remember and difficult to have to write them, and as a result, it's a little bit harder for the ordinary peasant to be able to learn. If you go to places like Hong Kong or Taiwan or maybe Singapore, they still use traditional characters. And in mainland China, they use the simplified characters. So if someone in mainland China was brought up with simplified characters, they would not be able to read the traditional characters. Okay, let's take a look at this chart. This is a chart that comes right out of your textbook, and it shows you both the ancient symbol for the Chinese character here on the top row and the modern character just below it. So you can see here's ox, goat, sheep, tree, moon, earth, water, field, heaven, and to pray. And so over time, these characters have changed. They evolve and they've changed from a simpler version to a more complicated version. What are the advantages then of Chinese? Well, one advantage is that people in all parts of China could learn the same system of writing, even if they spoke differently. And that's the case in China today, is that there are many different dialects of Chinese. People in the north speak different than people in the south. People in the east speak a little bit different than people in the west. People living in similar communities may actually speak different dialects. But what all people in China can do is write the same. All Chinese have learned how to write, at least in mainland China, the simplified version of the characters. So even if you can't speak with somebody, you can actually sit there and pass notes back and forth. The disadvantage is that a person needs to know at least 1,500 characters to be literate, and at least 10,000 to be a scholar. So it's not just like learning an alphabet. You have to actually learn and memorize the characters. You have to remember how to write them, the stroke order, the meaning of them, and also the tone, because these characters all have different tones. Here's another chart that's really good, and if you look at this, you can see the evolution of Chinese characters over time. And I'll just give you a quick close-up of some of these on the screen here. So let's jump right ahead and take a look at this. So over here, you can see this is the character for man. It's pronounced Ren, and the modern day version of it is over here on the left. But over time, it changed, right? So originally, it started off as a picture of a man. So it became a stick figure, or broad stick figure, kind of changed its shape, became this, and then eventually this is what it is today. Here's another example. This is Shan, hill or mountain. Again, it was originally a picture of a mountain, looked something like this. It's began to change over time, and today this is how you write mountain. And you can see the same thing here. Here's the character for sun, which is pronounced and here is moon, which is yue. And this is horse, which is pronounced ma. You can see it actually started out as a horse. And the last one we have up here is umbrella. Literally a picture of an umbrella, and eventually it becomes this sort of complicated character down here. Okay, so Chinese characters have changed over thousands of years. All right, here's another character I want you to know, all right? Because characters can have more than one meaning, and the idea that a picture speaks 1,000 words. This character over here on the right is the character for family. It's pronounced jia. It means family. This one is the same character, but it also means home. This is the same one. It means house. And this one here is the literal translation of the ideographic parts. There's two pieces. This thing at the top is what we call the roof radical. And this thing underneath it is a pig. And so literally what this character says is it's a pig under a roof. So this character means family, home, house, and pig under a roof. The character's the same, the pronunciation's the same, but it has more than one meaning. It can be used in slightly different ways. Now you're probably wondering, why is a pig under a roof something to do with family? Well, first of all, you have to remember in traditional China, if you had a pig, that was actually a good thing, especially a pig under your roof, because it meant you had pigs in the house, or you had piglets in the house, which meant you probably had meat, which meant you could eat pork, you could eat protein, which meant you were healthier. Maybe you could sell those piglets at the market, which means that you could make a profit from those. You could make a livelihood off of that. So having a pig under the roof is actually a sign of prosperity. And a prosperous family is a strong family. It's a solid family. It's a good family. So that's why the term family and pig under a roof are interchangeable. It's a good thing to have this prosperity in your home because it makes the family stronger. All right, Chinese is also a tonal language. What that means is that there are tones when you use this language, when you speak it. Mandarin has 4 tones. Cantonese has 9. So this is important that you understand that, again, people in the northern part of China usually speak Mandarin, which is the official language of China, which kids learn in school. But people who live in the southern part of China, in Canton, or what is known as Guangzhou, will have 9 different tones. So here we have 4 different words. We have the word for mother, hemp, horse, and scold. And you can see each one has a different tone in the tone symbol over here. Okay, one's a high level, one's high rising, one's low falling and rising, and the other's high falling. All right, so I'm going to give you a chance to listen to what these sound like, and you can listen closely and see what it's like. Here we go.
Ma, 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 ma.
Okay, so that's the 4 different tones. All right, each of those words would sound like ma are basically 4 different words, and you have to be able to differentiate between the tones in order to understand what's being said to you in Chinese. Okay, let's take a minute and sing and learn Chinese. This is a book of songs that help people learn how to speak Chinese. So I'm just going to let this run through, and you can choose to listen to this and look at it as much as you want, and we may actually do this in class. All right, this one is the Ni Hao song, which is the How Are You song. So you can see on the right you have the characters, you have what's called the pinyin romanization, and the little markers above those letters are actually the tones that you would actually use. And then there's a translation at the bottom. Let's give it a shot, see how it sounds.
你好，你好，我很好，我很好，我们一起唱歌，我们一起唱歌，真快乐，真快乐。
That's a pretty useful song. It'll teach you how to say hello to people. How you doing? I'm very good, and thank you very much, and let's sing together. So there you go. There's a quick vocabulary lesson for you in Chinese. Let's take a look at another one in case you're interested. This one's called 10个小朋友, which basically translates as 10 little friends. And you may actually know this too. What's nice about this is this will teach you how to count. Okay, so this is actually the counting numbers that you see up here. And I'll do it really quick for you. E is 1. Liang means 2 of something. It's not the number 2, but it means a couple of things. San is 3. Okay, so 1, 2 of something, 3. Over here we got Si, which is 4. Wu is 5. And then Liu is 6. Okay, and then over here we got Qi is 7. Ba is 8. Jiu is 9. And then at the last point, Shi is 10. And whenever you're counting, you have to use this ge. Ge is known as a measure word. And then, of course, there's xiao pengyou, which is little friend. Pengyou means friend, and xiao means small. Just keep in mind, my tones are really bad, so I wouldn't use my tones as a means of trying to learn how to get your tones right. Anyhow, just listen to it and give it a try. Wow, there you go. There's some basic Chinese for you.